74, is up a stepladder wiping white streaks from his windows. "Starlings," he says. "Hellish. They come over here as it's getting dark. Thousands of them. Going to that bit of wood over there. Do I like them? No. They may be a nice enough sight, but there's an awful lot of shite to clean." This is a familiar lament. The starlings of Gretna are loved best by those who do not own property directly beneath where they fly. That said, the Reverend Brian Haston, minister of Gretna Old Parish Church, is a model of Christian forgiveness. Even though roosting starlings killed 3 large conifers in the manse garden, he still likes them. "It's quite amazing," he says, "to look up late in the day and see the lovely patterns they make in the sky." On Croft Road, 25-year-old Steph Nixon laughs when I ask about the starlings and points to the spattered Vauxhall Vectra in her drive. "Oh, it's a nightmare," she says. "I've given up cleaning our windows. I can't put a washing out at all. We have to time our run into the house from the car, and when they're overhead it comes down so hard it sounds like it's raining above the conservatory." At approximately 2:30 p.m, I spot my first starling, a gallus chap atop the church tower, perhaps one of those vandals that did for the minister's conifers. Starlings are underrated. They appear drab at first, a plainly dressed beauty unnoticed at a busy dance. But when they catch the light, one sees the iridescent purples and greens like oil in water, and the pearly feathered tips. In the golden winter sunlight they are especially beautiful, clicking and chittering in the sycamores above the bus shelter and from Gretna's red brick chimneys. Isabel Tranter, head of the community council and owner of a B&B, likes to watch them flock from her lounge. They are, she says, mesmerising. Already there is some evidence tourists are being drawn to Gretna by the spectacle. Isabel's husband Philip, a driving instructor, is a great admirer of the birds, although he is concerned by the numbers of people pulling over at the side of the roads to take photographs. "I don't mean to sound like David Attenborough," he says, "but what's going on here with the starlings and the barnacle geese? It's almost as if nature is making a comeback." As 4 p.m. nears, anxiety rises. Will this be the day when, for whatever reason, the birds choose not to perform? Then suddenly, it happens. The starlings are in the air. 100, 200, 500, 1,000, 10,000, 50, 60, 70,000. The murmuration grows all the time as new flocks join from every direction. And that gorgeously apt word, murmuration, is part of the appeal. Its earliest note usage is in the Book of St. Albans, published in 1485, where, as a murmuration of stares, it's one of several collective nouns set out in a treatise on hunting. Murmuration certainly expresses rather well the sound made by so many starlings as they pass overhead. What you hear more than their song is the shush of their wings, like a whole town's whispered secrets. The way they move is astonishing, twisting, massing, diffusing, seeming to act as one creature, never ever colliding. The starling cloud is hundreds of feet wide and about 100 feet deep. The mind reaches for metaphors: a shoal of fish, a spreading stain, television static. Observed through the binoculars, they resemble bacteria under a microscope. Describing a murmuration has given pause to several poets and novelists. John Clare, who knew them as starnels, wrote in the 1830s that they darken like a clod the evening sky. Coleridge, on 27 November 1799, looked out from a coach heading for London as vast flights formed arcs and orbs. Glimmering and shivering, dim and shadowy, now thickening, deepening, blackening. George Orwell, on the 5th of November 1939, while hard at work in his Hertfordshire garden, watched tens of thousands of starlings fly overhead with a noise of heavy rain. No one knows for sure why the starlings do this. The consensus among ornithologists is that it is to somehow deter birds of prey. However, watching the murmuration, it is difficult to escape the perhaps wrong-headed conclusion that the starlings take great pleasure and some pride in their display. Joy is the word that springs to mind. Certainly, the sight increases the joy of Scott and Claire Zazik, a young couple from Dunfermline who married in Gretna earlier that day and break off from their